It's Weeb Union, and I'm here with breaking news. There's no time for introduction, we'll just get straight into it. According to the latest reports, Israeli missiles have struck a site in Iran, a US official tells ABC News. It was just reported a few minutes ago that the Israelis have launched their response to Iran's drone attack and missile attack on Israel, and that response includes missiles being sent to both Iran, Iraq, and Syria at the same time. There is this video here showing Iranian air defense active over the Iranian city of Isfahan. Based on this information we just received, the latest reports coming here from CNN, the Iranian city of Isfahan here in the middle has seen their Iranian air defense active. At the same time, there's a no-fly zone or NOTAM being sent out to the planes going or diverted towards Tehran, Qom, Isfahan, and Shiraz. At the same time, there's also reports of explosions in Iraq and Syria. And this is a very significant development because according to the news from the Iranian foreign minister, if Israel takes action, Iran's response will be immediate and at a maximum level. In my previous update, I did not expect the Israelis to launch an attack into Iranian territory. The United States recommended that Israel did not do so, as that would risk escalating the situation, as Iran has multiple times said that if the Israelis attack Iranian territory, then they will do exactly as the foreign minister said just 2 hours ago. If Israel takes action, Iran's response will be immediate and at a maximum level. They had previously said that they would do double what they previously did, which was about 300 projectiles, including drones and missiles. That would mean 600 this time around, and maybe they won't even warn Israel about such attacks. At least 8 flights have been diverted over Iranian airspace, but with the recent reports we see that this response has taken place, and based on these reports there is a significant escalation taking place, as Israel has done exactly what Iran warned against, and that is a direct strike on Iranian territory. With the recent Israeli strike against Isfahan, it is clear that the Iranians will then respond again by launching yet another strike towards Israeli territory. This means that there is a significantly higher risk of a full-scale conflict breaking out between the two countries. Syria and Iraq were also struck. Previously, I expected the Israelis to limit their response to simply striking Syria and Iraq and Lebanon, keeping Iran out of it to avoid Iran escalating the situation further by sending a response to such a strike. But now that the Israelis have sent such a strike towards Iranian territory, it is very likely that the Iranians will launch a massive strike against Israel. And again, as I said, this has a major risk of escalating the situation way beyond what we have already seen, and we'll likely see a massive strike towards Israel. If the Israelis could not hold themselves back from responding to the previous Iranian strike, then they will for sure not hold themselves back yet again, and it will just continue escalating until both sides break even or full-scale war breaks out. So to sum it up and clarify the current situation, Israel has launched a strike towards Iran, launching missiles towards Isfahan and locations in Syria and Iraq. It is unclear exactly the scale, as it has just happened and there was no announcements prior to it happening. And it's not like the Iranians sending drones for 10 hours. It was simply something that was detected as soon as the air defense went active, so just a few minutes prior to the strike. So with this, we see that Israelis have responded to the Iranian drone strike by launching a missile strike towards Isfahan and locations in Iraq and Syria. Iran had, prior to this strike, already prepared a response in case Israel launched such a strike. This means it is very likely that the Iranians will respond very soon to launch a strike against Israel in response to the Israeli response. This Iranian response will likely be much larger than the previous one, including hundreds of drones and hundreds of missiles. This could have a significant impact on the peace in the Middle East and increase the possibility of a major war breaking out between Israel and Iran. Now, what would a full-scale war between Iran and Israel look like? We see that Iran is ranked 14th out of all the countries' militaries out there, and Israel is ranked 17th. The main reason for this advantage to Iran is its population, which is almost 10 times as much. This means that the Iranians have the capacity to mobilize a much larger army. At the same time, we see that the active personnel and reserve personnel of the Iranians is, prior to any war, higher than that of the Israelis. Israel mobilized the majority of its reserve personnel in the war in Gaza. This means that there's one benefit and one detriment to that. The benefit for the Israeli army is that the majority of the army has experience fighting in a war. However, it is unlike a war that would be fought against Iran. And the detriment is that, considering they have already been mobilized and they've already been at war for half a year, there's already this tiredness of battle, there's this tiredness of war, and the military personnel have already been mobilized and have already been fighting, meaning that they are not in the same fresh position as the Iranian army. However, the Iranian army has not fought in any war since the Iranian-Iraqi war. This means that the Iranian army has no experience with fighting. Compared to that, the Israelis have had, since the 2000s, multiple wars with Gaza and Lebanon. However, the difference between those wars and this war is that Iran has a sophisticated military. Iran has a military-industrial complex that is majority built by itself, based on help from engineers from China and Russia. They've also bought a lot of weapons from Russia, including S-300 anti-air defense systems, as well as Russian planes. Not to mention the Iranian drone industry. The Iranians likely have thousands, if not over 10,000 drones available. This is due to the production rate, which is above 10 a day, and they have been producing them for years with hardly using any. This means that they have thousands of drones, if not over 10,000 drones. These drones, in a group of 200, were all shot down by the Israelis, but then raises the question, what would the Israelis do against 10,000 drones launched at the same time, or 1,000 drones launched every so often with a few hours in between the waves? That would be a major advantage for the Iranians if they're able to utilize it well. The Iranian military budget stated in this is not correct. It is stated as $10 billion, however, it is $31 billion for 2023. It's likely higher for 2024, as there's been a significant increase in military spending of Iran over just the past 10 years. The Iranians are also significantly helped by the Russians and the Chinese, as they have helped it arm itself increase and significantly build up the Iranian military-industrial complex. The Iranians have a significant amount of air power similar to the Israelis, as they have bought a bunch from Russia. Just November of last year, the Iranians bought about 24 Su-35s from Russia, and that is just a few months ago. It is unlikely that the Iranians have already put them to use, but it was reported over a year ago that Iranian pilots were sent to Russia to learn how to fly these planes, and Russian instructors went to Iran as well. So there is a possibility that the Iranians are already able to use these Su-35, which were sent to Iran, and the Iranians have a long history of military cooperation with Russia. Generally, the Iranians have a significant military strength. The strongest part of their army is the drones that they have built themselves and their land force. The Israeli strength is mainly their air force, so it is likely that the Israelis will have an air power advantage, while the Iranians could have a manpower and land force advantage. It will be interesting to see exactly how this battle will take place, if it takes place, and we see that there's a massive artillery advantage to the Iranians compared to the Israelis. And based on the war we have seen between Russia and Ukraine, such an artillery advantage gives a significant advantage to the one who has the firepower advantage. However, the Israelis' use of an air force could have a significant advantage over the Iranians, so this raises the question of how strong is the Iranian air defense. And based on my own research prior to making this video, I'll make a more detailed video later on. the Iranians have a very strong air defense as well, if they're able to utilize it well. The Israelis have what could be considered one of the best in the world, so it would likely beat the Iranian, but the Israelis would also have a very difficult time launching their planes or jets over Iran if the Iranian air defense is active and well prepared. So how is the power balance? Based on the numbers, it is fairly equal, but anything can happen in war. The war can be over in 3 days, or it could take a decade. We don't know until it actually happens, so let's hope it doesn't happen and that it only remains speculation. As such, a war would be very, very devastating, especially if the Iranians end up pulling in Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon as well into this war, and this could escalate to include Western nations such as the United States, United Kingdom, France, and European countries altogether. Just before ending of this video, it is reported by Iranian outlet Fars, 3 explosions were heard near the army base in the northwest of Isfahan. The defense is active in response to an object that is likely to be a small drone. It is said that the army radar was one of the possible targets, and the windows of several office buildings were broken in this area. Fars reports pictures from the front of the army base in Isfahan shows that the situation is normal. This likely indicates that this missile strike was not the main strike, but it could be a strike ahead of the main strike, hitting targets such as radars to hit the Iranian capabilities of defending against a larger Israeli strike that could include fighter jets. I'll end off the video here. I'll come back when the situation is clearer to give an update on the situation and the developments, but this is going to be all for this one. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and check out my Patreon for additional content. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.